Eminence in Shadow Season 2, Episode 6, Episode 26 overall, John Smith. So, yeah, if my voice sounds a little bit off, I am sick, and I actually don't really feel like recording, but I wanted to make sure you guys got a video out. So here we go. We're just going to power right through this. So, this episode, we start off with 666, 665, and 664, basically telling Alpha about their failure to stop John Smith, and that John Smith is really powerful, that he's even probably more powerful than Alpha, and that the only one who can probably stop the John Smith would be Shadow. Meanwhile, we get like a brief thing where Alpha is talking about Zeta being on a mission, and she hasn't heard from her in a while. Just kind of setting up for a future arc. So yeah, Zeta is going to play a pretty big part later on. Not in this arc, but in a future arc. But Alpha decides, okay, we're going to send Delta. If 664, 665, and 666 can't defeat John Smith, maybe Delta can. So yeah, we get Best Girl running through the snow with a happy smile on her face as she watches the train that John Smith is in, and she smashes in, and we get a fight. So Cid, as John Smith, fights Delta and just kind of trounces her. She does put up a decent fight. Like, she's able to basically dodge a lot of John Smith's moves, force him to have to destroy part of the train car. But eventually, John Smith beats her. He kind of just knocks all this debris on her, and she's trapped under it. And he's kind of like giving this monologue as John Smith. But while he's doing that, Delta sniffs his feet, realizes that this is actually Cid, and then she basically turns into a lovable puppy. It's really adorable. And for anyone who's kind of like confused about like why didn't Cid try to hide his scent or anything like that, he does in the light novel. They didn't mention it here in the anime, but in the light novel, he actually wears a bunch of like perfume and stuff to try to throw off his scent. But Delta, like, her nose is just so good that it doesn't do anything. Here, we just have Delta sniffing his feet and then realizing that it's Shadow. And of course, she just basically clings to him and says, boss is John Smith. Delta can't beat John Smith. And Cid basically tells her, hey, this is like a super secret mission. Not even Alpha knows about this. You can't tell anyone because I'm a super elite secret agent right now. And Delta's like, oh, I want to join too. And Cid's like, no, you can't. You can't do anything about this. If you tell Alpha about this, then my hush-hush secret mission will be over. So I need you to not tell anybody. And Delta's kind of like, I can't disobey Alpha. But once Cid tells her, like, you remember the rules of Shadow Garden, right? And she's like, no. He's like, any mission I give you takes priority over anything else. And so I'm giving you this mission. So don't tell Alpha. And she's like, okay. After some convincing. And Cid basically has to tell her, like, if you finish this reward, I'll give you something. And Delta's like, boss will do anything I'll say? Anything I want? And he's like, no, not anything. It has to be something that I'm capable of doing, something that doesn't cost a lot of money, something that doesn't take too much effort. And Delta's just like, boss is going to do whatever I say. And he's like, as long as if it satisfies these conditions, he'll listen to anything I say. As long as if it adheres to these conditions. And it just kind of goes over. And yeah, we also get a lot of fan service where Delta's just basically like clinging to Cid. She's like wrapping her legs around his waist. At one point, she's even kind of grinding on him. And Cid's like trying to think of a mission that he can give Delta that would kind of keep her occupied for a while. And he's like, all right, I want you to go to the Lawless City and I want you to kill Juggernauts. And she's like, Lawless City, Jugga? And he's like, yeah, Jugga. Go kill Jugga. You do this and you'll save the world and you'll make me happy. And so she jumps out the window of the train and runs off to the Lawless City to go take out Jugga. Meanwhile, Gamma shows up to Alpha, tells her that Delta hasn't shown up since she was given the mission, and we found this. And it's like one of the like hairpins that Delta always has. And Alpha and Gamma assumed that Delta has died because Delta's not one to abandon a mission. She hasn't shown up. And now we have something that she always carries on her, and that's the only thing we were able to collect from her. So of course, they assume that Delta's dead. Alpha is pissed off and sad and says, we got to retrieve the body. And that's when they discuss the fact that the counterfeiting has gone really high up. And basically the plan that John Smith and Yukime had is working. So what's going on is that the number of counterfeits is overriding the number of actual bills. And so in this world, paper bills associates with gold, with the coins. So like $1 worth of paper bills equals $1 worth of gold. But now since there's so much counterfeit bills, inflation has gone up and there's more bills than there is gold. So when people start realizing that, hey, there's a lot of fake bills out there, the money value is dropping, I need to get my gold back from the bank, they realize that the bank doesn't have enough gold to supply the demand of the customers. There's more paper bills than there is gold, in a sense. And we have a moment where we see Cid in his shadow guise, and he's taking down notes. And he's writing down basically his like plans, but it's stuff like, inflation, stuff with the bills and things like that. But it's also like some of his Chunin abilities. So it's basically multiple things. On one side, he's writing down his plans that he's doing with Yukime. But on the other page, he's writing down like new ways to be cool and stuff like that, like new stuff that he can do to basically live out this Chunin fantasy. But he's writing it in code. And when I say code, it's basically just him writing it in different languages that don't exist in this world. So no one else can read it but him. And so Beta's there. And Beta is basically informing him about what's been going on recently with John Smith and the Major Corporate Alliance and Mitsugoshi and the counterfeit bills and all this stuff. Because she is unaware that Cid is actually John Smith. She also informs them that Delta is dead. Or at least they believe Delta is dead. And Cid is like, oh, crap, I should probably tell them that she's not dead. He says, don't worry, Delta's not gone. She's just in a faraway place. He's telling the truth. Like, he sent her to a faraway place. He sent her to the lawless city. But Beta thinks that he's just trying to, like, console her. And that, it's like, well, she's not really gone. She's not really dead. She's up in heaven. She's just... It's just kind of like, that's how Beta is interpreting it. And so it's kind of hilarious that basically everyone is being heartbroken and sad that Delta's dead. But Delta's not really dead. She's literally in a faraway place. But everyone misinterprets Cid saying that as her being dead. So we get like a scene with the Major Corporate Alliance where they are realizing that what John Smith is doing is basically kind of destroying their economy. And Gettan also realizes, like, he doesn't care about the economy. He doesn't care about the Major Corporate Alliance. What he cares about is the fact that the gold that was supposed to go to the Coto Diablos is now being taken by John Smith and whoever his associates is. So they have to put a stop to that. They have to put a stop to John Smith and the counterfeit bills. So not only is this kind of ruining the Mitsugoshi company, but it's also ruining the Major Corporate Alliance. It's especially ruining the Major Corporate Alliance since their bill is the one that's being counterfeited. And so they decide, okay, we're going to try to set a trap. We know that the John Smith and stuff and the counterfeits are being sent on this train. So we're going to create a blockade. And we just get this like funny moment where we have this father and son. I'm assuming it's the father and son just by the way that they are talking. And they set up a blockade to stop the train. And they're basically talking about how if we don't stop this train right here, right now, we're dead. Like, our lives are basically forfeited. And let's just say that the train doesn't stop. Because John Smith is on the front. And as soon as he's coming across the blockade, he just uses his razor wires to destroy the blockade. And the train just zooms by without any struggle whatsoever, without even slowing down. And we just get like this shock father and son, and they're like, all right, now what do we do? All right, now we got to run and hide and hope that we never get caught, otherwise we're dead. And that's basically their story. But as John Smith is on top of the train, that's when Alpha shows up. And Alpha is here to get revenge on for Delta's quote-unquote death. And we get a brief fight. And during the fight, Alpha recognizes John Smith's moves. And she realizes that John Smith is actually Shadow. And she calls him out. And basically asks, like, why are you doing this? Why did you kill Delta? She basically asks, like, what did you do to Delta? And John Smith tells him, I sent Delta to a faraway place. He's telling the truth. He's basically saying, I sent Delta to the lawless city to kill Juggernaut. He doesn't say this, though. He just says, I sent her to a faraway place. And, of course, they immediately assume, oh, you killed her. You sent her to heaven. So, yeah, she's basically has, like, an emotional, psychotic breakdown where she is wondering, like, why the man that she looks up to, the one who basically is, like, her entire world, why would he go against their group, and why did he kill Delta? And John Smith knocks Alpha off the train, and the train just keeps on going, and Alpha just has an emotional breakdown while she's lying on the tracks wondering what's going on. After the fight is done, John Smith goes to meet with Yukime, and that's when Yukime reveals that she has a bunch of gold. She basically took all the gold from the major corporate alliance, because what she was doing was she was using the bills, the money, to buy gold. So while everyone was exchanging their gold for paper bills, she was using the paper bills to get the gold. And so now that the economy has basically been destroyed, she's made off. Her and John Smith have made off like bandits in the night, because they're the ones with all the gold, which is actually the real currency now, because the paper bills have lost all their value. We see that the Coto Diablos gold has all been ransacked, basically. The Coto Diablos gold that the major corporate alliance was holding, that Gettan was trying to get for his cult members, it's all gone. Yukime now has it, because that was the plan all along. And then Yukime kind of shares her story, her origin story, her history, and why she's doing all this. And the basic reason is that a long time ago, there was like a lot of war breaking out between the Beastkin. And so the Spirit Fox tribe and the Dire Wolf tribe chose to like form an alliance to defend themselves against the upcoming war that they felt like was going to come to their land at some point. And so they decided to do this alliance by having the daughter of the Spirit Fox leader and the son of the Dire Wolf tribe leader get married. And as you can probably guess, the daughter was Yukime and the son was Gettan. And they would have to wait until Yukime was at the age of 15 before they can get married. But they loved each other. Things were going great until one day Gettan was approached by the Coto Diablos, and they told him, like, hey, we'll make a deal with you. If you can get the Direwolf clan and the Spirit Fox clan to swear allegiance to the Cult of Diablos, then we will protect you from the war. And of course, Yukime's mom was against this. She didn't want to join the cult. And so Gettan went crazy. He took the red pills that we saw in season 1, that it grants you powers but also kind of makes you a bit psychotic. And so he took those and he slaughtered everybody. He just started attacking the Wolf tribe and the Spirit Fox tribe. He killed Yukime's mom. Yukime eventually shows up, sees her dead mom, basically asks Gettan what the hell's going on, why he's doing all this. Gettan tells her, like, I'm doing this to save our people, which doesn't make sense because you said you were saving your people, but then you went and you murdered everybody. So who's left to save? But Gettan basically asks Yukime to join him, and she says no. And so he slashes her in the back, and she falls, and that's why she has a scar on her back. I don't know if I can't remember if the manga and light novel are different. In the anime, it makes it seem like he assumed that Yukime was dead. But I don't know if in the light novel and anime he actually goes to do a killing blow. Either way, he kind of in the anime he starts walking away, and as he's walking away, he sees that Code of Diablos members are being attacked, and we just like hear this like weird kind of, I don't want to say a scream, but kind of like this weird funny war cry. And right before Yukime blacks out, she sees someone attack Gettan, and like she sees Gettan like get slashed, and kind of drop to the floor, and then she blacks out. And basically, the person that attacked Gettan is what gave him the scar on his eye. And I don't know if this is a spoiler because it hasn't happened in the anime yet, but I don't know if it's going to show in the anime that this is what happened. So I guess little spoiler alert: the person who attacked Gettan was Cid. So if you remember, like back in season 1, when Cid was first becoming a shadow member and he was going around attacking bandits and stealing gold and stuff like that. Yeah, one of the thieves that he attacked was Gettan's group. And he's the one that gave Gettan the scar on his eye. So I just thought that was kind of funny. So I don't know if that's actually going to be revealed in this anime or not. I guess we'll find out. But yeah, she tells a story. She boards the train, and before she departs, she just tells John Smith that the whole reason why she is doing this is not for the money, but because Gettan took everything from her, and so now she's going to take everything from him. And she's going to do that by like destroying everything he built up, taking the money that should be to the Cult of Diablos and all that stuff. And she just asks John Smith to wish her luck, and then she departs. And that's kind of the end. We get like the credits and stuff like that, and then we get like this. It's very brief, like blink and you miss. But we get like a post-credit scene. It's only like not even 5 seconds, where we see the tower that Juggernaut leads in the Lawless City, and it's completely destroyed. And Delta is standing amongst the wreckage, and she howls. And it's supposed to be like, oh, so did she like kill Juggernaut or not? In the manga and in the light novel, I don't think it's ever conclusive on if she destroyed, like if she actually killed Juggernaut or not. But in the anime, it is, but not in the anime episode itself. But there's a YouTube series that's officially part of the anime, and it's basically just kind of like chibi omakis. So in the latest one that came out today, it's freaking adorable. It's a Delta focus episode, and Delta is like running around through the Lawless City talking about her mission, and then she kind of stops, and she's like, what was I supposed to do? Because she got confused, because she was talking about how she hopes Alpha isn't upset and how she's doing this to please her master and stuff. And so yeah, she completely forgets about what her mission is, and she's like, Lawless City, Jugga, and I guess Jugga means potato or something, because eventually she's like, Jugga, potato head. Oh right, I gotta kill Potato Head. I think there was someone that looked like that hanging out with my master, and the person that she thinks is Juggernaut is actually Poe, Cid's friend. So Delta's looking in the Lawless City for Poe so she can kill him, and she doesn't see him anywhere. So she hops onto Juggernaut's tower because it's the highest part in the city, so she can have a good vantage point to overlook the city. While she's up there, Juggernaut sees her and yells at her that, like, you're not supposed to be here. What are you doing? Get down from there. She just mercilessly kills him. So Delta just decapitates him. And after seeing their boss get killed, one of Juggernaut's men is like, Juggernaut-san. And that's when Delta's like, Juggernaut. Oh, so this was him all along. Delta succeeded in her mission. And then we just see like credits where we see Chibi Delta holding up the decapitated head of Juggernaut. So I thought that was kind of hilarious. It's kind of sad that wasn't like actually here. I kind of would have liked that if they had the YouTube web series like as a post credit little thing. But yeah, you can find that in the online on YouTube. So yeah, Juggernaut is dead. Delta completes her mission. But there you go. There's Eminence in Shadow, Season 2, Episode 6, Episode 26 overall. John Smith. I liked it. I thought it was really good. I love Delta, and just her being able to easily recognize John Smith as her master was adorable, and then just her response afterwards, just clinging to him and things, and just the conversation where she basically is like, if Delta does this mission, then Master will give Delta whatever she wants, and he's like, not whatever you want, just something within reason. And she just keeps going on, whatever Delta wants. And he's like, no, something within reason. Whatever Delta wants, within reason. And it's just like a nice little funny gag. And also, I don't know if it would be really like a funny gag, but just the running gag of everyone assuming that Delta's dead when she's not. And John Smith, Cid, Shadow, just his response making the situation worse rather than making it better. I don't know. I just thought that was kind of hilarious. I did feel like Yukime's like past was just kind of thrown in there. It was just kind of like, oh well, we succeeded in our mission of getting all this gold and kind of destroying the major corporate alliance and things. Anyways, here's my past. Here's why I'm doing all this stuff. I don't know. It just, then again, that's kind of how it goes in the manga and light novel as far as I remember. I guess it's been a long time since I've read the manga part. Yeah, I just thought that part was kind of thrown in there, but whatever. It's anime. Sometimes you get random flashbacks. Overall, I liked it. I thought this was good. Of course, the fact that Delta features somewhat heavily, or at least more heavily than she has in the past, of course, pleases me. But I'm going to end this here so I can go lay down in bed. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed, and I hope to see you next time. Take care. Later.